Hey, welcome back to my journey on walking the Camino Frances. Well, I'm finally at day one, and I want to say that the theme of this particular first stage was I met the enemy and I met a guardian angel. The enemy I met was me, was I. I was the enemy. And so I'm not talking about the devil and spiritual warfare and stuff like that. No, this is much more mundane. I cannot believe Carrie, she just was laughing at me. Like, really, Tom? Are you really that, like, off? I'm like, yeah, I met the enemy. I'm the enemy. How? Okay, so, excuse me. God bless me. That's what I needed. So the night before the first, the launch, the launch from Saint Jean Pied de Port to Roncesvalles, two things happened. The first was I'm doing this for the reasons I mentioned to you. I'm going to live this 10x life, get to a more authentic manifestation of the life God has for me at this point in my life. The second is to seek His face. The third is to be a pilgrim, a true pilgrim who is walking this path of penance and reparation for my sins, my wife's sins, our marriage sins in our marriage, and in each of our kids' lives, and then out from there, right? The circle can go as wide as the world, the wider society, the church, etc. So, so walking as a as a true act of penance and reparation. And the fourth reason, what was the fourth reason? I can't remember right now. Okay, so these are the reasons, and oh yeah, it was to go deeper in my spiritual life, to detox from technology, and to spend more time seeking the Lord in prayer, in silence and solitude. So, I, in pursuing this, I had just certain parameters I needed to set up. The first one was, you got to set boundaries around working. And this was one of Carrie's mantras during my first handful of days was, I didn't give you permission to go all the way to France or 40 days in northern Spain for 40 days so that you could just do work there, at odd hours. And I'm like, yeah, that's a really good point. So I have been putting boundaries, increased boundaries around the time that I would give to people in especially in real estate, right? The real estate work that I've been doing. So, um, and the other stuff, the ministry stuff, it's just a natural fit and flow anyways. So that's been fine. Okay. So, the night before the launch date, I intended to go to the Pilgrim Mass at Saint Jean Pied de Port, and I missed it. I got down to the church at 7:30. The Mass started at 7. I got there for the Pilgrim's blessing, but I missed the Mass, and I missed it because I was on the phone doing real estate work, and that was a slip. That was a mistake. That was easily rectified. All I had to do was have that in mind and set an alarm on my phone and make sure I get there, make that a priority, and I didn't. Well, that wasn't the biggest instance where I was, well, maybe spiritually, it was the biggest instance of me being my own worst enemy. But what was worse was I got back to after the blessing, I went back to my hotel room and I ended up having a cup of coffee because I was off on my schedule and all that. And coffee doesn't impact me. I drink coffee so much at home, I'm fine. Yeah, not coffee like this. I was tossing and turning all night. I'm lucky if I got 3 hours sleep on the night before the launch date for this Camino of 34 stages. Really, Tom? Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Come on. Don't do that. And it's interesting. In the middle of the night when I realized it, I'm like, all right, I just offered this up. It's another, even though it's my goof up, Lord, turn it into something good. I just offer it up as penance and reparation. So that becomes a nice bucket, by the way. When things are going oddly or badly or poorly, to be able to see in those, oh, wow, all right, Lord, this is a chance for you to be accomplishing what is one of my goals, which is penance and reparation. And all right, I'll do that. So I did that. I still had to get up. I found out when sunrise was at 7:30. All right, I don't want to leave when it's dark. Let me leave at 8 in the morning. So 8 in the morning, I did my little customary video at the port there, just outside the church, through the arch, and launched off up the hill. And I had heard and read how many times that this was the hardest stage, the most difficult stage. And it was exhausting. Now, you could just say that, but just saying it doesn't convey the experience of it. And so I learned a few things along the way. So the first was I would end up using, and this has been my custom so far, using the first couple of hours, 2.5 hours-ish, somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. I use them as my own personal prayer time. And so I've been praying for the first few hours of each day and use 4 or 5 times during a rosary is that my mind will start to wander away from the mystery. And when that happens, and I get to the end of the mystery, I'll say, you know what, my kid deserves better. And I go back and I'll pray the mystery again. And if it happens again, I'll say, my kid deserves better. I'm going to go back and I'm going to pray it again. And you know what, God deserves better. I'm going to go back, I'm going to pray it again. So I've had probably every rosary I've prayed, every time I've done this, I've been praying at least one of the decades 3 times before I move on. I think the first one is 4 times. And I'll often pray extra Hail Marys on one until it feels like I'm done, and then I'll move on. And I told this to Carrie, and she's like, well, you got nothing else to do. She said that cutesy, but it was appreciated as well. Like, you know what? Why do we just check the box? Why do we just check the box when we're praying a rosary and just say it's sufficient to just get the beads and run through them, right? And I just got my beads. Let me just kind of roll through them. No. Let me actually mean what I'm saying and hold that child in my mind. And this actually has been fascinating. So, do I miss my family? Yes, of course. Now, most of my kids would be out of my house anyways because of school. That's why I went now. But here's the thing. I'm spending more time consciously imagining them and praying for them day to day than I would in the course of my ordinary life. They're in the background, but now they're in the foreground. Now they're in the forefront. Now they're right in front of me every day for hours in a prayerful way. I love it. Like, do I miss my kids? Actually, I'm spending more time with my kids, on my kids, one at a time, than I would in my ordinary life, my normal life. So that was a pretty striking thing. The second thing, so this is now part of the lessons learned by doing this hike. I watched a ton of videos on, how do you get ready? How do you prepare? How do you train? How do you pack? How do you get launched? What do you do the first day? And I'm like, you people, you need to make a video for people like me. People like me who are like, hey, I know you said bring water. What else what should I have for breakfast before I launch on the hardest stage? Should I eat a full breakfast? Should I eat a lot of carbs, toast? Do I eat eggs? Do I eat an hour before I leave? Do I eat and then go? And then packing food. How much should I pack? And how often should I stop? Like, I met one guy, and this was my guardian angel, Lars. Lars, he had a pattern of walking for 55 minutes, take 5 minutes off, walk for 55 minutes, take 5 minutes off. And there's more to his story, but I'm kind of stunned now going back over this that the most basic, like foundational activities that are really needed to like make it through this extensive, you know, 15, 17-mile hike up an extraordinary height and then down a very challenging, steep decline. It is, yeah, oh yeah, I watch videos. Oh yeah, you just train for a bit. If you take some walks and I walked, I don't know, like 200 miles in the month and a half leading up to in 50 days. For 50 days before, I walked over 200 miles, and I was just beaten up by this route, even with all the miles that I was walking. Just unbelievable what it did to me. And I was not prepared. I was not prepared with the right food in my bag, with the right food eaten beforehand. I just had some coffee thinking I say it out loud, it's so humbling and embarrassing. Oh, the caffeine will get me far enough. And I took from the room, they left me like a little cup of applesauce and a little yogurt. And so after hiking up for about 3 hours and praying those rosaries up in the beautiful heights of the Pyrenees, it was just gorgeous. And I was exhausted. And so I pounded down, was getting every little bit of nutrients I could out of that, sugar and vitamins and whatever. And I was out. And I had a long way to go. I was like halfway done. And that's when I met this guardian angel. I had finished another break and I started walking, and there was a guy walking even slower than I thought possible on a hike like this. And when I got to him, I caught him, said, "Hey, do you mind if I walk with you, hike with you?" No, no, not at all. And so Lars from Sweden, I'm like, "Hey, I need to thank you because you are giving me permission to do something that I never would have given myself permission to do." What's that? It's go that slowly. I never would have thought that it was okay to hike that slowly on this stage, on this trail, on any trail. And he told me a story. He had hiked Mount Kilimanjaro, and I guess it's a pretty challenging mountain. And the guide kept stopping him. Slow down, go slower, go slower. You're going to get up to altitudes where the oxygen is going to be harder. Do not go that fast. Take smaller steps, focus on the step in front of you, go slower. And that's what he was practicing right there, was got a long way in front of me. I'm just going to go slow. I'll get there eventually. I'm going to take my time. And this guy taught me a lesson, a huge lesson. And it was a huge advance over something that I had picked up on a video getting ready for the Camino. And that was walking is the pace of life. Walking is the pace of life. And that was something that impacted me very much when I was training, because I learned on a flat surface with no backpack the pace of life of my walking, meaning specifically the pace at which I could walk along and match my breathing so that I could peacefully enter into prayer and not focus on my body, on my breathing, but there was just this flow and rhythm. And it was like 3.1 miles an hour. So between 3 and 3.2, if I walked that pace, that was walking as the pace of life. And it was like, wow, so I wasn't speed walking. I wasn't trying to exercise through it. I was just trying to get in the flow of the pace of life. And that's and so that principle was something I took with me. Okay, walking is the pace of life, just go the right pace. Well, then he taught me the other principle. It's not just that walking is the pace of life, it's that life sometimes sets the pace of walking. Life sometimes sets the pace of walking. Or you could even say life sets the pace of walking. Because where we were, really high up in the Pyrenees, we had a lot of miles to go and we were both tired. And so I started to go at his pace. And it shifted my perspective about hiking as having a goal that is, okay, our goal is to get to the end of this stage. Our goal is to get to the edge of that ridge. No, my goal is to take one step and then one more step and then one more step. I wasn't going exactly that slowly, but pretty close. When we would be going up hills and it was rocky, and even going downhill steep and it was rocky, it was go as slowly as you need because life is setting the pace of walking. And this guy was he was my angel. He got me through the rest of that hike, even at a practical level. So there was a food truck high up in the Pyrenees, and it was like your last stop to get food. And sure enough, I met the enemy again, which was who? I was the enemy. I didn't have any cash. Hello? I didn't have any cash in coins. I only had credit card. Well, the guy doesn't take credit cards, and I don't have any food. And so Lars, my guardian angel, lent me a couple of euros, and I got a hard-boiled egg and a banana. I needed to get some calories and protein and potassium in me, and that had to do that and water. And what was also funny was that he had this little map out of the remaining trip, which was, okay, 1 more kilometer up of hard, then 5 kilometers of flat, and then 5 kilometers down. And people would see that and they'd get super encouraged. There was only one problem. It was a big lie. It's a big fat lie. I don't know what the guy was doing. If he was trying to motivate people who are tired to think, okay, you only have 1 more kilometer up, you can make it. Then you've got 5 kilometers that are flat. Yeah, that's not true. I have like All Trails app. It's way more than 1 kilometer up. It was like 6 kilometers up, easy, and even more. And it felt like it was longer than 5 kilometers down for sure as well. So it was, I don't know if he was trying to like get a good spirit and get more sales or just help fool people, but you're not going to, false promises are not going to match life, and they're not going to be as helpful as you think. So we humbly, just slowly, carefully, painstakingly made our way through the rest of that hike. We got down to Roncesvalles in northern Spain, and I mean, we entered the town. Right there was his dormitory, and I needed to find my hotel, which was actually just right around the corner. But I was so delirious is not the right term, but I was getting close to the edge of like I'm gonna collapse. And thanks be to God, I was able to make it to the hotel, got to the room, and just collapsed on the bed and just I gotta sleep. I couldn't even take a shower. I was that exhausted. And so this has started a trail of days where I would end up using the time when I get to the hotel, and it was later in the afternoon, 3 or 4 in the afternoon, or even later, and I would just literally just crash in the bed, take a shower, sleep, eat, sleep, and then get up and do the same thing. Just not having the energy to record like a daily diary or make it, better. Like, oh, let me get a more fun setting. I haven't done one communal meal with people. I just have not had the energy. I'm just like, I just need to recover. So that first day was really hard, way harder than any of these like videos would have led you to believe. And that angel of mine from the day before who had done the hiking, got to get the hiking sticks. She had said something else to me, and I didn't listen. And to my own chagrin, I didn't listen. It was like God had given me another message, and I just ignored it. And that message was, hey, they can carry your backpack from one stage to the one hotel to the next place you're staying. And you can do that. And it's a tiny amount of money, but it'll take that huge load off your back. And so she was like, I think I'm going to do that the first day. And I'm like, no way, I'm not doing that. I didn't come here to wimp out on the first day. What a silly guy. So if I had to do it again, I would say, number one, there's this place that's just a handful of kilometers up out of the town, Horizon. I would say make that the first stage. Number two, don't carry your pack. Number three, eat the right breakfast. I'm not smart enough to know what that is, but eat the breakfast and have healthy foods, juices, snacks with you, in addition to the water, to be able to uh, give you more nutrient and calories when you need to stop. And remember that walking is the pace of life, and sometimes life sets the pace for walking. Last thing I'll share about this is that there were many sites that I didn't get to see because I was just so exhausted and focused on the step in front of me that I didn't have the energy to give in my life to stop and really take in and appreciate what was happening around me. And then sometimes it was the circumstances. When we were just walking out of St. John, it was very cloudy. And so there was a fog and mist. So I missed a lot of beautiful sights, not because I wasn't capable of seeing them in myself. It was that the environment I was in was all fogged over. And so I was missing out on the beauty that was really there, but it was just covered. Okay, if you're tracking with me, realize that that can be a lot like life, folks. But sometimes our lives are such that we can walk along on the journey that we have, and we can see the beauty that's around us and take it in. Other times, we take the journey and the environment we're in is foggy, and so we're just not appreciating what's really there to be seen. And then sometimes our life gets so constrained that we end up getting just sort of caught in do this next step, do this next step, do this next step, and let that be okay to just do the next step, because that might be all that you have to give. All right, I hope and pray that that is a blessing to you. If you enjoy this, please like and subscribe to this channel and get notifications for when these new ones are going to be released now that I'm launched in the Camino with day one. And there'll be more to come. I've got more notes and excited to be able to share this with you. All right, God bless you.